Hello, and welcome to the first ever podcast of Maverick Mondays with Patrick Hastings. I want to welcome anybody joining right now. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to start here. I'm going to break it up in 4 sections for you for our topics of the day. First off, we're going to start with sports. Give you something easy to work into here. So we'll talk about sports topics that have happened here in the last week. Of course, the Super Bowl, the Falcons, and the Patriots. I called this a couple weeks ago. Once the Falcons had beat my team, the Seahawks, I said they were going to make the Super Bowl, and they have a high-powered offense. They're going to be the nice-looking pick that everyone likes. And with the Patriots, you get what you get. Bill Belichick knows how to coach in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. He has a great postseason record. But the trendy pick is the Falcons. I still like the Falcons to take the Super Bowl. And I'm going to ride it out with them. I mean, I spent some time in Georgia when I went to a boarding school down there, and they deserve it. I don't care if they don't have the biggest fan base. The Atlanta Falcons deserve a Super Bowl. One of the first Super Bowls I ever watched was in 1998. I watched the Dirty Birds versus John Elway and the Broncos, and I wanted the Falcons to win then. So, granted, it's like almost 20 years later, and I hope they can take it back. On a somber note, we lost a great pitcher in the MLB, Yordano Ventura of the Kansas City Royals. All these young, great pitchers, these great baseball players keep passing away on tragic circumstances, really, especially Jose Fernandez in that boating accident. I don't know how they're driving in the Dominican Republic or what is going on, but I really think the government down there needs to take some time and some measures to, enforce some sort of safety standards for the roads, because these guys who go back home, including Oscar Tavares, they're suffering these tragic deaths on the road. It's kind of crazy. You wouldn't think that something like that would just be like, once in a blue moon occurrence, but it really isn't. It's happening pretty often. Moving on into the Australian Open, I'm very happy to see the resurgence of Roger Federer in the Grand Slams. God, I just want him to win one more. I'm such a huge Roger Federer fan. When Andy Murray lost to Misha Zverev, I was feeling very excited for Roger Federer's chances, and I really think that he can do it. I hate when he gets to the final and just loses right in the final. It's such a pain, but don't put it past him. He can do this. I get worried about Nadal and Milos Raonic still in there, but I think Federer can do it. Win one more. I mean, he's not out of the game like Tiger Woods is. So let's just hope Roger Federer can really go down in history as the greatest male tennis player of all time. And next up, we got some boxing this Saturday. A rematch between the reigning fighter of the year, Carl Frampton, at 126 pounds, featherweight title bout, Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz. First off, the first fight was a fight of the year candidate. I really think Carl Frampton is a great fighter, and I really want him to hit the mainstream, so I hope he can win. But Santa Cruz puts out a lot of volume. The guy comes to fight. He's got a few flaws in his game. He has that tick where right before he throws a punch, he has a tick. And Frampton, he was catching him and countering him, and hopefully, Santa Cruz is really young. He could change his game. So, hopefully Frampton is ready for that, and that I really want Carl Frampton to win and break into the mainstream. On the undercard, There's the Hungarian Beast Zlatan Cannon versus Mikey Garcia, the golden boy of the West Coast. I really want Zlatan Cannon to win that fight, and also I think it's a really bad matchup for Mikey Garcia. Garcia, he's coming back after like a 2-year layoff. He's fought some bums, and he's going in there with a guy that's a hungry beast, and I really don't see it going well for him. A bad style matchup. He's going up in weight, and I just don't think he's ready for it. Moving on to college basketball, as a UK fan, I will always talk about the Cats and how they're doing. This injury with De'Aaron Fox, I believe it's just precautionary. God, I hope so. But by all the websites and outlets I'm hearing from, he should be ready to go to play Kansas on Saturday. And that's going to be a huge matchup. It's going to determine a lot as far as the seedings for March Madness and the bracketology. But we need De'Aaron Fox out there as our point guard. I mean, he is the soul of that offense. He does everything out there. He may not be the best scorer like Malik Monk, but I'll tell you what, De'Aaron Fox is the keystone of that offense. Going into the Indiana Hoosiers, I know you Hoosier fans out there thought that, you beat us last year in the tournament, and you probably thought that you were going to do some big things. I mean, you had some good quality wins earlier in the season, but the only player on your team that I respect and that I like is OG Anunoby. And unfortunately, he is out for the year, and I really think that kills Indiana's chances. I think they might get into the tournament. They might be a 7 or a 10 seed going into March Madness, but I don't see them getting into the Sweet 16. I just don't see it happening. So, sorry, Hoosiers fans, boo-hoo. Now, going into MMA. Over the weekend, we saw the retirement of a great fighter, Tito Ortiz. He had been around for a long time, 41 years old, been fighting since 1996 when he was 21, and a multiple title winner in the UFC. And I was so happy to see him go out there and take Chael Sonnen out. Sonnen had been just talking such a big game, all this stuff, how he came back from, his PEDs and, and he was just bad-mouthing everything about Tito Ortiz. And it was just really refreshing to see that Chael Sonnen is not the great fighter that he thinks he is. Tito Ortiz went in there, took him down, beat him at his own game, and secured that submission. It wasn't pretty. He basically took his head off by squeezing his jaw right to his neck, but I was just happy to see Tito Ortiz go out on a win. Because as we know in the fight game, a lot of fighters don't get to go out on retirement with a win. As far as the UFC card coming up this Saturday, I'd like to give you my fight picks and what I'll be going into DraftKings and making my picks so I can win a little money. Because I follow the fight game religiously, and I can tell you, especially on MMA, I can definitely tell you exactly who the best people are. In the main event, Juliana Pena versus Valentina Shevchenko. Juliana Pena is a freaking beast. I mean, she goes out there. She would have given Ronda Rousey a lot of problems a couple years ago. She's still, young, probably not even in her prime yet. If Amanda Nunes thinks she's going to hold the title for very long, and once she runs into Pena, it's not going to be good. And Shevchenko is a very skilled kickboxer. She's going to keep her at range, try to keep Pena away from getting the takedowns. But Pena is someone that cannot be denied. She's going to go in there. She's going to enforce her game. And she has just a lot of willpower to get the fight to go to where she wants. So expect Pena to win that one. On the undercard, you have Jorge Masvidal, Donald Cerrone. Fight between two veterans who used to be the cream of the crop at 155 pounds. And first off, I'd like to say that I really think Masvidal could win this. I mean, he always seems to drop close decisions, but Cerrone, I don't buy him as a top contender at 170 pounds. Yeah, he's looked good here and there, but as soon as he fights the right kind of person, if Kelvin Gastelum made 170 pounds, like Kelvin Gastelum probably would have taken him down. So I think Masvidal could win that, but that's not one of my main picks I'm going for. That's going to be a close fight. Also, one of my favorite fighters of all time, Andre Arlovski, is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou. Ngannou is this huge physical specimen from Cameroon, and Arlovski is on the end of his career, and I really don't like his chances in that fight, but I am a huge Arlovski fan, and I'm probably going to pick him out of my fan loyalty to him, but I don't know how that's going to go. But heavyweight fights, all it comes down to is who lands the best shot. And yeah, let me give you some other undercard picks here. Rafael Sunsao over Aljamain Sterling. I think he brings that veteran presence, and Sterling looked really weak against Caraway, and I don't see how he's going to break into the top 5. I'll give you Alessio Di Chirico, one of the few Italian MMA stars, over Eric Spicely. He just has a whole lot more athleticism than Spicely, and I think he's going to take him down. Not necessarily take him down on the feet, but I think he's going to overwhelm him with his athleticism. Antonio Pinchoja versus Eric Shelton. This is Ultimate Fighter 15 contestants that I really like Pantoja's chances to break in to the top 10 for featherweight. I see him fighting Husier Formiga in the future. Well, we'll see. So Pantoja in that one. Rogerio de Lima, Jason Gonzalez, Alex Caceres. Those are your picks. Moving on, my last topic for MMA, they announced the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter Season 25. Cody Garbrandt, guy I'm not a fan of at all. Not a fan. TJ Dillashaw. I'm not necessarily a TJ Dillashaw fan, but I have to take Dillashaw. I have to be with Dillashaw on this because Garbrandt, that guy is trash. The guy talks a bunch of crap. I don't like how he acts. I don't like his attitude. He thinks he can fight Conor McGregor in the future, but it's not going to happen because I'm telling you right now, TJ Dillashaw is going to beat him. He has better footwork. He's going to come out there and beat him. He's going to give him too many different looks. Dominic Cruz was not 100% in that fight with Cody Garbrandt. As far as the Ultimate Fighter, it's going to be really interesting. They're bringing out veterans and people that fought in previous seasons that didn't really make it into the UFC, and hopefully we can see some good story, like a good story to get behind. We'll see. Want to give you one reference. I'm a huge Ultimate Fighter fan. I've watched every season of the Ultimate Fighter, all 25 seasons so far. And let me tell you, Cody Garbrandt is going to come in there. He's going to name his team Team No Love, okay? And season 4 of the Ultimate Fighter, there was a fighter on there named Rich Clemente, and he was also called No Love. And on that season, the fighters got to pick the team names. And guess what? This egotistical prick, he named his team Team No Love. So, Cody Garbrandt, you're going to come in there and call your team Team No Love. Well, let me remind you that on the Ultimate Fighter Season 4, Team Mojo, the opponents of Team No Love, defeated them 8 fights to 1. 8 fights to 1 on the entire series. So, TJ Dillashaw, I tweeted at you, and I want to tell you something. You need to name your team Team Mojo, because you are going to need some mojo to defeat Cody No Love Garbrandt. Please. I'm one of these people that I really do believe like in history and names and tap into some of that karma. So please name your team Team Mojo. Okay, so moving into my next topic, history, politics. Time to get a little heavy. I hope you all, first off, I want to say that I'm pretty moderate. I mean, I lean left on a lot of issues, but I can respect what people say, and I listen more than I talk, believe it or not. I'm just using this as a platform to really just get myself out there, be a little bit more vocal. But I'll tell you what, let's get down to the business. President Barack Hussein Obama, ex-President Barack Hussein Obama, I was very honored to serve in the military for 7.5 years. Out of the 8 years that he was president, I served under Barack Obama, and I never had to deploy. All right? Now, a lot of soldiers out there, a lot of my veteran friends will say that you're not truly a soldier unless you've deployed. There's other people that say you're not necessarily a soldier if you haven't served in the infantry. But let me explain something. And I'm going to have to reference what I wrote down here because at the time I had very good words on this. I served to maintain peace, not to go to war. I already suffer PTSD from abuse as a child. There's no reason for me to go fight in a war that I don't necessarily believe in fighting for other people's interests. I believe in defending the homeland. That's why I joined the Kentucky National Guard, to defend state lines and the domestic territories. So let me just say that there's glory in defending the domestic state lines, not fighting for the interests of others. People get into the Army and get into other service branches because they want this validation as a warrior, as a fighter, as a killer, as a guy that goes out there and put his life on the line for the country. But you don't need that. As a soldier, you are already doing something that 99% of the nation is not doing, and that is just showing up and doing what's asked of you, no matter what your realm of responsibility is. It's just, people want these deployments, but it's really not worth the effects of the deployments. And just think about it, you're not necessarily fighting because America is threatened. You're fighting for the interest of other people. So, with that being said, the period of Barack Obama's presidency, I like to refer to it as the Pax Americana. Okay, as a history major guy, I love history, and you'll know, if you know about Roman history, there was only a small period of time under the Emperor Trajan that there was a Pax Romana, where there was like no war. And when we don't go to war, we make great strides in other areas, such as the economy, such as civil rights, and a whole host of other things. But under Trump, I don't see that happening. We made a lot of progress under Barack Obama. A lot of great Supreme Court measures were passed and taken. But, unfortunately, I think Donald Trump is going to take us into some unnecessary war. He's going to do something that's unnecessary, okay? I hope it doesn't have the ramifications that I think it could have, whether it happens to be Russia or whoever it may be. But, God, I mean, literally, if I think too much on it, I just get too worried about it, and I can't. I just want to say, in my comments on Donald Trump, he ran a very foul-mouthed, trashy campaign full of rhetoric of hate. He made a mockery of the system. He said it was rigged, and it looked rigged by the time you realized that Clinton had the popular vote and Trump gets elected because of carrying these huge conservative states such as Texas, etc. And, he said it was rigged, but it looked rigged by the time that he got elected because, we've seen the popular vote with the millions of people that voted for Hillary Clinton, yet we don't get to see her in office. And, he wonders why the inauguration turned out so low, and he tries to fight it with these alternative facts and all this crap. It's literally, it's just a joke. I cannot say... Congressman, Mr. Gregory, my very good friend, I do believe in our system of checks and balances. I believe in it. But I also know that at this point in time, Congress, has a majority for the GOP. And with Trump coming in here with his horrible cabinet, in my opinion, that he's been picking so far, he is trying to put these people in line that he can control. And I really want to believe that Congress will keep him in check of doing something just stupid and atrocious. But I really believe that if he wants a conflict and pushes hard for it, something's gonna happen. I'm just telling you right now. So that's my answer. Not extremely clear, but that's my answer to that. Now, I think it sucks for the rest of America that didn't want Trump. That essentially we're gonna have to sit in timeout for 4 years, and I really only think it'll be 4 years. But we'll have to sit in timeout while Trump just crushes all the progress that was made. And then on top of that, I want to say one huge thing. He's also going to nominate some horrible Supreme Court justices, and it's going to suck. But I will say that this wall is going to be a horrendous thing. First off, he's going to take all this money and budgeted money from state governments and fund this wall. Now, a lot of people wonder, where's the wall going to start? Well, I'll tell you where it's going to start. Texas. It's going to start in some part of Texas, okay? And then it's going to extend probably to the east, and then it'll extend to the west at the very end. But I think it's going to start in Texas. And honestly, this is what I think is going to happen. It's going to start in Texas. There's a city in Texas called El Paso. You may have heard of it. The city of El Paso falls right on the Mexican border. Literally like a stone's throw from a major city in Mexico called Ciudad Juarez. And what I think is going to happen is when they start building that wall down there, there's going to be an intense military conflict because the residents of Ciudad Juarez are going to come into El Paso and fight this wall being built. And on top of that, guess what else is in El Paso? A army base known as Fort Bliss. So El Paso, I believe, has a recipe for a national disaster when this wall starts being built. I think that it's just going to be a really, really horrible thing that's going to divide a lot of people. And that's, unfortunately, I just wish we had a president that was more interested in uniting people instead of dividing them. And but don't say I didn't warn you about El Paso. El Paso is going to be a battleground. And then the National Guard and all the, resident stateside troops are going to have to actually be ready and actually not have to deploy. They'll have to be ready to fight on the domestic front. And I don't know, man. I am not looking forward to this wall. I don't know how much he's going to be able to get done in 4 years, but yeah, he's going to put measures to start that. But a lot of people, should understand that, me as a white Catholic male and veteran, I should be happy with the election of Trump. But honestly, I respect the man for who he is. I respect him for being a teetotaler, not drinking, not drugging. I respect him for being very good with money. I respect him for his successes. I respect him for his ambition. I respect him for, at least showing some class. I mean, he shows like the very minimal bit of class that keeps him respected. But the problem is this. That man, more than anything, needs humility. All right? That guy, he has a lot going for him, but he's never been humbled in his life. He has always been given everything. And even when he wanted something, he knew he could buy it. And even when he was about to be, sued for defamation and all these other things, like, he still found a way. And he has all these ideas of what America needs, but you have to understand they're extremely mogul-centric, okay? I like to call him a megalomaniac, but he is a businessman. He's a business mogul. So he wants to run the country how he would run a business. But here's the problem. You can't fire citizens for not being behind you. I promise you, Donald Trump, in your 70 years on this earth, you will never be more humbled than you are while you serve as the President of the United States. Now, I will commend you by not quitting or suffering impeachment or whatever happens to you. If you really wanted this, you need to fight for it, and you need to listen, okay? Because I guarantee you, all those protests yesterday, he's going to listen. And he will understand that there are a lot of people that are going to look for any reason to crush him. And he might think he's above all that, but I promise you, I don't care who you are. The millions and millions and millions and millions of people that hate you, something's going to happen in your mind where you're eventually going to be crushed and you're not going to want to be president anymore. He's CEO of Trump Worldwide, He's had to give up a lot already just to accept this, and I don't know if he really wanted it, so I think that's all I got for politics. I think that's all I got. So I'm not the craziest, most liberal guy in the world, but man, something's got to give. Something's got to give. All right, moving on to my next category here. You ever had to write anything backwards? It's weird. All right. Culture and the arts. So I like to think of myself as a Renaissance man. So let me holler at you this. 2016, horrible year for film. Horrible. Horrible. Tomorrow, they announce the nominees for the Academy Awards. And I already watched the Golden Globes. And I was like, Jesus Christ. La La Land is the best you got? Holy cow. Come on. I've thought of other years when The King's Speech beat out films like Inception, The Social Network, these groundbreaking films. And then you got La La Land, Moonlight, which I watched, and I don't know. Moonlight has some really strange storytelling tactics here. I guess it is based on real life in Miami, where, you would have a drug addict mom, and then you would get raised by a drug dealer. And then you start hating the drug dealer because the drug dealer sells drugs to your mom. But at the same time, you're battling sexual identity. So I'm not trying to give too much away, but it's an odd movie. And there was some strange acting in there, and I'll criticize a lot of people for acting. I'm sorry. I'm on my high horse when it comes to it. Janelle Monáe plays the drug dealer's wife and tries to act like too much of a homely woman when clearly she's not. And let me just say, Janelle Monáe, just stick to singing, all right? Just stick to singing. I don't think acting was meant to be there for you. So, yeah, sorry about that. What other good films? There's not many. But there is one good film I did watch of 2016. It's called Nocturnal Animals. Nocturnal Animals with Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Adams, Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon, great actor from Kentucky, actually. This movie, again, a lot of films like these new storytelling tactics. Well, this one actually goes back and forth between the ex-wife of the author of a novel. She's reading the novel and placing him as the main character, her ex-husband, the author. And it goes back and forth kind of between real life and the book. And you start to realize the book mirrors what he experienced during their marriage. So, I bought it. I mean, it was interesting. Amy Adams is probably my least favorite leading lady out there right now. She's so plain. She doesn't do anything that really just is like, hey, even in American Hustle, Jennifer Lawrence like outacted her on bad. So, yeah, Amy Adams like kind of ruins it for me. But Nocturnal Animals, I'll check it out because it's a very interesting story, and for some of you, it might even be hard to follow. But I promise, it's not as hard as you think. What other movies we got? Hacksaw Ridge, pretty good movie, great fight scenes. Andrew Garfield, I really think he's earning more respect from me. I also watched Silence, another great movie of 2016. I hope they'll be nominated for some awards, but Andrew Garfield's performance in both those films are very different. For some reason, Hollywood just loves to take English and Australian actors and then be like, hey, can you give me like a southern accent here? And so Andrew Garfield, he is, doing this southern thing in Hacksaw Ridge, and he just sounds so cheesy. I mean, he's so cheesy in it, but some of that's a writing too. I can't beat him down too hard. I'll tell you some other performances of Australians and English actors doing Southern. Everybody knows Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead. Well, I will say this. Andrew Lincoln is at least very consistent with what he's doing. And he's been doing it for how many seasons of The Walking Dead? Over 5 seasons, maybe 7 seasons now. I don't even know. But consistency is key. It's very key to any acting performance. On top of that, Hell or High Water. Anybody seen that film? Yeah, it's got some crime in it. My brother loves it because he loves crime films. It's an okay movie. I didn't really like the ending very much, but Ben Foster gives a great performance. But then there's Chris Pine. Here's the problem with Chris Pine. Chris Pine is an actor that looks like a cousin of the Hemsworth brothers of Australia. And Chris Pine is... God, the guy doesn't have any substance. Like, Brad Pitt is a good-looking man, but he can act, okay? Chris Pine is a good-looking man, but I cannot buy into what he's doing when he's playing this, Southern boy. I just don't really buy it. So, in the Battle of Australians playing Southern people, you also have the other one, Joel Edgerton. Also been in The Great Gatsby, Warrior, and a couple other films I can't think of. Oh, he's been in Star Wars. He played the young Uncle Owen in that. But Joel Edgerton, this guy is in this movie called Loving, which is about an interracial couple that was constantly being arrested in their county of Virginia for violating the laws of interracial marriage was not allowed in that county, and they were told to leave the county, but they kept going back to the county because they had family there, and they didn't like the big city, so they kept getting arrested over and over and over. And the case goes to the Supreme Court, and they end up allowing interracial marriage in that county. Joel Edgerton plays a kind of backward Southern hick that works on cars, and Joel Edgerton, I will say this, he didn't really embody full on Southern backwards hick, but Joel Edgerton, he did this he did this thing with his face, all right, and he was just like, yeah, you see, so I was like, well, Joel Edgerton at least is physically going all the way with it. Well, as Chris Pine is like, I'm going to be very good looking. My name's Chris Pine. So I give the edge to Joel Edgerton on Australians playing Southern United States citizens. All right, enough goofing around here. Rogue One, pretty good. I enjoyed it. Rogue One is so much better than The Force Awakens. So much better. The Force Awakens has horrible casting. I don't believe in Daisy Ridley is great, feminine star of the, you know, Kenobi's or whatever she came from. I don't know. I don't buy it. I'm not buying. Like, I don't know how many films they're gonna make. At least 2 more, I know, but god dang it. Whenever they cast these people that don't have a whole bunch of experience, you just start to see it. And sorry, Daisy Ridley, I know you suffer some sort of physical strange ovarian cyst disorder that I've heard about, but don't really buy her breaking in as an A-lister, especially someone that just came in with no experience but had influential parents. And God knows I hate when I see all that happening in acting, but it does, whatever. So what I want to say is we need a little bit more Rogue One in the Star Wars franchise, because Rogue One at least took some very good actors. Riz Ahmed, I wish they had done a lot more with him. He's a very good actor, and he was playing the Imperial pilot Bodhi that went over to the Rebel Alliance. But man, I wish they would have done more with him. But at least Rogue One was showing The Force Awakens how to do some better character development and not to be so damn cheesy with all their little bitty, like, oh, Han Solo, C-3PO, like, all these, like, granted, I understand that with that franchise that's been around for decades, they want to do these callbacks to the past and bring up that nostalgia. But listen, James Bond, another franchise that's been around for decades, you don't see them going out and trying to bring back and resurrect these old characters. I understand, like, the Bond narrative stretches, like, it just keeps growing. So with every Bond film, they can decide where they want to go. And so you'll see, like, another actor playing Blofeld, another actor playing Felix Leiter, another actor playing Moneypenny, M, whatever, Q. Okay, so granted, those are different actors they're bringing in, okay? Whereas in Star Wars, what they're doing is they're just, like, I can't tell you. I mean, I was devastated when I heard Carrie Fisher passed away, because she was going to get a lot of work with Star Wars. They were going to keep bringing her back, and they would have milked that for all it's worth. Mark Hamill, I can tell you what, he's extremely excited. I mean, that's the thing. Star Wars is just going to keep growing because they're going to keep bringing these people back for as long as they live. But eventually, you have to make new characters and break new ground. I've seen like 1,000 Star Wars novels, and if they can't like take any of that new originality and break away from like how things are done in the previous Star Wars films, then I don't know. I don't know how long that franchise is going to keep going. At least James Bond can keep preventing itself. I mean, it really does. So, oh yeah, I'll give you my best TV shows out right now. Netflix series are really good. They're really good. Like, they're awesome. Pretty much everyone I've watched so far has been extremely good. So with my best picks, I go Narcos. Very, very good. Stranger Things. I didn't think I was going to like it at first, because like, it just follows kids everywhere. Oh yes, Major, the Young Pope. I'm going to get to that. I have not watched it yet, but I'm real excited to see Jude Law, do something outside of, what he normally does. So, I'll bring that up next Monday. I'll start watching The Young Pope, because I've got it on demand here. And, so thank you for throwing that at me. I'm going to add that to my list here in a second. Narcos, Stranger Things. Best show of all time, Game of Thrones, hands down, too good. All good things have to come to an end, though, so we know that it's going to end here in the next year and a half. But, you know, it'll be a fun ride, I promise. Westworld has its moments. It's not, I don't know. It had its moments with me, but there were also some things that just really bothered me, and how some of their hosts would just all look alike in a few instances was really strange. I don't know if you're, I don't know. I'm not going to get too far into that, but House of Cards, another Netflix series, is very good. It's very long-winded. There's really good acting by Kevin Spacey, but you know, I don't know how much longer House of Cards could go either. You know, House of Cards was built for like a Hillary Clinton presidency, you know, but that didn't happen. So maybe House of Cards is going to think about going off the air now that Trump's in power. Now, one show I'm watching that people told me to watch this show for years, and I started watching it, and it's horrible. And I'm like, God, why did so many people watch this for like 10 years, or it felt like 10 years? Dexter. All right, not a good show. Oh my God. Maybe it's because I'm only halfway through season 2, but it's bad. It's bad. It is like a very ugly, cheap version of CSI. With the whole, you have to understand, like, I watch a lot of crime films. I'm an ID addict, investigation discovery channel. I watch Datelines, 48 Hours, First 48, 2020. Also, one of the best shows on TV that nobody knows about, A Crime to Remember. A Crime to Remember. A Crime to Remember. A Crime to Remember. I'm a guy that loves history. Crime to Remember does historical murders that nobody knows about. I mean, honestly, they do a lot of stuff that you never heard of. So, Crime to Remember. Check it out. I'll put a plug on that one. All right. Now, Dexter. Horrible show. I'm watching it. I'm trying to get through it. I'm suffering when I watch it because some of it is so bad. But I'm doing it because so many people recommended it to me, and I'm trying to just get through it. So, this is going to be my last transition. My last section, health. Listen, it is really hard for a lot of people to find time to exercise. Trust me. If I was not in a situation where I had more time on my hands, I don't know if I would be exercising as much as I have been. But I found a great thing to really get you to do the cardio that you need. All right, because we all need some cardio. We cannot just go into the gym and just keep lifting and hoping that we build enough muscle that'll burn all the calories we need. You know, we have to get our hearts better and stronger. So we have to do the cardio for our heart. It's not about like the sweat. It's just about getting our heart rate up. And what I want to say is this. If you're watching a god-awful show like Dexter, and you're like, your friends keep telling you, you're going to like it, you're going to like it, just keep watching it. Come on, just keep watching it. I don't care what it is. It could be Dexter, Walking Dead, whatever. Some shows that are just hard to watch sometimes. Put on an episode of a show that you don't really like, but you're just trying to watch it for the hell of it, just to Netflix binge, just to tell them that you watched it, so that you can have a conversation with this friend about it. Just put it on while you're on the treadmill or while you're on the elliptical, and guess what? Instead of doing a half hour on the treadmill or the elliptical, it'll make you do 45, 50 minutes. And I'm telling you, like, when you go there and get that done, you watch the calorie count and you get up to 600, 700 calories, and then you add that plus all the weightlifting you did and whatever warm ups you did. I mean, I'm not necessarily. I've been doing that for like 2 months now, and I'm not like dropping a lot of pounds, but I feel a whole lot more fit. My legs feel stronger. And I do elliptical and treadmill. Like, you can just do elliptical. It doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna get stronger. You're gonna get better, and at least you have something to distract you. And our music. Like, I never bought into Spotify, Pandora, all that stuff because it just it'll go to a song I hate and I want to skip it, and then when I go to play the ads, like, I'm just like, God, why do I gotta listen to this? This is stupid. So I just like buy music on iTunes. I know that seems like a waste of money, but sometimes like I just really like a song, so I'll just get it on iTunes, and then I'll get tired of the song and wish I could get money back, but I can't. So, yes, Major, I agree. I'll tell you, like, it takes like at least 3 weeks to kind of like build a habit. And I will say that when I was in the guard, just the pressure of having to go in there and do the PT test and lose the weight and all that stuff, like, man, it was just debilitating, and it took a lot out of me. But now that I've gotten out of the guard, I feel more free, and I wanted to lose the weight and get to where I needed to be for myself. I didn't want to do it for the guard. I didn't want to do it for an acting role. I didn't want to do it, like, just to look better when I go to the bar. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it for me. Just for me. Just for me. That's it. And that's what I've been doing. And, look, it's not reflecting on the scale, because I need a lot of help in the diet department. I have made some strides here and there, but we all fall off, and it's too easy nowadays. When you got things like Postmates and Takeout Taxi and Uber Eats that'll just go get the food for you. Even if you don't want to go to the fast food places, they'll go get you takeout, get you a salad for whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's only going to get easier to buy all this food. Anyway, I'm trying to become more of a cook, and I welcome any advice on how to be a better cook. Please, I need more of that. Moving on in the health. That was the main thing I wanted to say. Please, if you're watching a horrible show, get on the freaking treadmill and the elliptical, watch one episode, and do all the work and time you need on that. So, moving on. Oh, God. Let's talk about alcohol abuse. All right. Let me tell you something. All right. You may not think you're an alcoholic. I never thought I was an alcoholic. But I'm a binge drinker, and I fall into peer pressure. And I could go out and I could drink a couple beers and go home. That's fine. But, yes, Matt Pendergast, meal prep. I've seen you do some meal prep stuff. I need to do that. And give me some ideas on anything for, if you don't mind, just like how do you make something and then keep it fresh, like when you got to eat it 6 days later? That's what I worry about. Like your storage containers and all that. Like, what do you, I don't know. That's the only thing. I think meal prep would work for like the first few days, but like as it goes on, and like you get to that like 6th or 7th day meal and it just starts tasting awful. I don't know, but meal prep. I've actually tried some meal prepping, but I need more work in that department. So thank you for your input. Thank you for everybody's input so far. It's very welcome. Very welcome. And I try to respond to all the things I see. So thank you very much. Thank you. So going into the alcohol abuse, let me explain something here. Tomorrow I'll have 2 months of no alcohol. And I'm still like going out, hanging out, and if anybody in the Louisville area needs like a DD or someone to go out with, like, I'd really appreciate it. because I like to go out and be social. I love it. I mean, I grew up like as an introverted, shy kid, and I finally started like going out and hanging out and talking to people. And I drank a lot. I drank a lot for a lot of years, and I suffer anxiety. I got some social anxiety, but it's not like debilitating by any means. But you know, I don't know. I don't always have like the best positive self-talk or the best thoughts about who I am or and stuff like that. So when people like ask like, what do you do? Like, I'm not really meeting my goals in my career. I just got out of the military, so I'm not too happy about that either because I wanted to make that a career. But when I go out and people are like, what do you do? And that makes me want to drink. When people are like, what do you do? Or what are you doing? What are you up to? Well, I'm doing something I'm passionate about. I'm acting. I can say that. I love acting, But when people ask me that, I feel like, God dang it. I'm not making the kind of money you are. But I'd be like, all right, where can I get a beer? Like, let's just talk about the beer. Let's just talk about something else, Hell, fuck. So a lot of, like, things made me drink more. And what I was going to say was I can go out and have a few beers and go home. I've done it many times. But then every now and then, it's like a roll of the dice when I drink. And when a lot of like these, for one thing, when you're like an alcoholic, it's really not like it's no black and white. There's not alcoholic and non-alcoholics. Like there's alcoholics with different there's an alcoholic but with different types of alcoholism. Like I'm a binge drinker, all right? And sometimes I don't know when I'm about to binge drink. So it's a roll of the dice. It's literally like gambling. I'd go out there with friends and I didn't have plans to stay till close or stay out till the sun comes up or like go across town looking for more people to see. But that's what would happen. I'll tell you one thing. You might be an alcoholic if you go out with your friends and then they leave you. They just leave you. They just say, all right, see ya. Like, and then like by the time you come to and realize like, oh, my friends left me. I made all these new friends, but we're all drunk. We're all hammered, so it's it's quite a world. It's quite a world, but I'll tell you, I'm trying to grow up. I'm trying to do the right thing. I've been arrested for a few alcohol offenses, and so 2 months of no alcohol, and I feel like if my years of my life were on a ledger, I've been bashing the years of my life with alcohol and all this stuff. I feel like I'm giving some years back by not drinking. Just a little bit more time to be longer on this earth for whenever I do have a family, or so I can be around you beautiful people for a little bit longer. So, yeah. And also I want to say that because I suffer from anxiety, I just get anxiety about like, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to start a podcast so I can talk to people because, why not? But I suffer from anxiety. I always have. I've only been taking antidepressants since 2012, but I fought through my anxiety. I white-knuckled it for a long time, but the alcohol would aggravate it. Because the worst thing is I quit drinking not because of when I'm with my friends, and as I'm drinking, I start to feel better and more buzzed. I missed that part. The worst part, the reason that made me want to quit drinking, was the day after. When you wake up, and it's not just like a hangover. It's not just like, I'm going to drink a bunch of water and Gatorade and eat some greasy food or whatever the hell you do to make it go away, or Pedialyte, whatever the hell you do. It is waking up, not only being hungover, but you're battling. For people like me, I got demons. from when I was abused as a child and growing up. I'll go into all that in another podcast, but I would have this horrible anxiety and depression days after drinking. I used to hate Sundays. Hate them. I hated Sunday. If I didn't have any NFL or anything to watch, I hated Sunday. I'd wake up and I'd just be hungover and I'd hate my life. I think about all the mistakes I did the night before, all the drunk texts, all the IMs and messages I sent out, whatever, I don't know. But listen, I made a lot of freaking mistakes, all right? And I got tired of beating myself with the drink. And I don't want anybody to think like you can't drink around me or whatever, like talk beer. I'll still talk beer. I don't really care. But I just say, man, I'm just trying to do what's best for me. For the longest time I was trying to please so many other people. And I still am kind of a people pleaser when it comes down to it, but do what's best for you. Do whatever you need. And if the people around you don't accept it, then just move on to somebody else, I guarantee you, if you've been friends with people for 5+ years, like, they're going to accept you for who you are and what you do. Because at the end of the day, I'm the same guy, I'm the same person, just because I'm not drinking with you, man. I still love to talk, shoot the shit, whatever, Yeah, so it's my last thing. Just do what's best for you. And that concludes Maverick Monday, January 23rd. Thank you for joining me on my first podcast, and God bless you. Thank you.